We're going beyond the stars today. To be more accurate, we're diving deep into what happens when the stars come to us. We're going to be talking about Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. And this is not your typical alien invasion movie.
No, not at all. We're going to go way beyond those tripods. What we're going to talk about is what makes this film so terrifying and what this film says about our place in the universe and that ending. Why does that ending leave so many people just scratching their heads?
Yeah. We're going to be unpacking the sheer terror of this alien invasion, and we'll be talking about the chilling designs of these extraterrestrial invaders. But we're also going to be talking about the really thought-provoking implications of how it all ends. There's going to be a lot of debate.
Yeah, and this is what's so interesting for sci-fi fans like you, because it's not just explosions and special effects in this film. This is really a mirror that Spielberg is using to show us our deepest fears about the unknown.
Right, so let's set the scene here. Just imagine these massive three-legged machines erupting from the ground, and they're not here to say hi, they're here to dominate. Spielberg really cranks up the tension, and you can feel the power and otherworldly nature of this invasion.
And what I find so striking is the silence. There are no grand pronouncements, there are no demands, it's just pure, relentless destruction. And this isn't a war that has rules. This is a force of nature that we're all caught up in.
It's like a hurricane, but instead of wind and rain, it's alien weaponry wiping out everything in sight. And you're so right about that silence. It's chilling. It makes them even more terrifying because we have no idea what they want or how to stop them.
Yeah, and this lack of communication also plays into one of the central themes of the film, which is the fragility of our perceived dominance. I mean, here we are at the top of the food chain, building our civilizations, and all of a sudden something comes along that doesn't even acknowledge our existence, let alone our power. It's terrifying and humbling.
So we're ants under somebody's boot and we don't even know. We're oblivious to the larger forces at play. And that brings us to the design of these aliens, which, let's face it, is the stuff of nightmares. Those spindly limbs, the pale, almost translucent skin, those strange probing eyes. It's alien in the truest sense. We can barely comprehend it, let alone relate to it.
And Spielberg was incredibly deliberate with the design because he didn't want cute, cuddly aliens or even just your typical bug-eyed monster. These beings needed to represent something truly other, something that really tapped into our primal fear of the unknown.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just their appearance, it's how they move. That jerky, almost liquid grace. I mean, you see glimpses of intelligence there, but it's an intelligence so foreign that it's unsettling. I mean, and the way they harvest. Well, let's just say it's not a pretty sight.
No, it's not. And it's a stark contrast to the human characters in this film who are just thrust into this chaotic, terrifying situation. We see families torn apart. We see societal norms just crumbling and that primal instinct for survival kicking in. And through it all, we follow Ray, our protagonist, who is desperately trying to protect his children in this collapsing world.
And this is where the film's exploration of freedom becomes really fascinating. Because on the surface, it's about the loss of freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom to live your life, freedom to just exist without the constant threat of annihilation. But I think there's a deeper layer here, too.
Oh, absolutely. Because Ray's fight to protect his children isn't just about keeping them alive. It's also about preserving their future, their potential, their freedom to become who they're meant to be. But it also raises questions about our own assumptions of freedom. I mean, are we truly free if our very existence can be extinguished so easily about something we don't even understand?
And that's a heavy question, and it's one that the film doesn't shy away from. And speaking of heavy questions, let's talk about that ending. I mean, come on, who saw that coming? After all that buildup, all that terror and destruction, the aliens are taken down not by some brilliant human strategy or weapon, but by Earth's own microorganisms.
It's a curveball for sure, and it's sparked endless debate among fans and critics. On one hand, you have people who see it as anticlimactic, almost a bit of a cop-out after all the tension that's been built up. But on the other hand, it's a powerful statement about the limits of human arrogance and the interconnectedness of life on Earth.
And that's what I find so fascinating about it. We spend the whole film watching these seemingly invincible beings wreak havoc. And then, boom, they're taken down by something we can't even see. It's a humbling reminder that we're not the center of the universe, and that even the smallest, most seemingly insignificant creatures can play a crucial role.
Right. It also challenges our notions of what constitutes a victory in a story like this. We're so conditioned to expect that triumphant showdown, that display of human ingenuity and might. But War of the World offers something different. It offers a different kind of resolution, one that forces us to confront our vulnerabilities and acknowledge the forces that are beyond our control.
It's a really powerful message, and it's one that stayed with me long after the credits rolled. So for you, what is the biggest takeaway from this unexpected ending? What does it say about our place in the universe, our relationship with the natural world?
Well, I think it reminds us that we're part of something much larger than ourselves, this really delicate web of life that we often take for granted. And while our technological advancements might make it feel like we're masters of the planet, there are forces at play that we barely understand, forces that could easily undo everything we've built.
That's a sobering thought. But it's also a reminder that there's still so much we don't know about the universe and our place in it. And for a science fiction fan, that's pretty exciting. The possibility of the unknown, the mysteries yet to be uncovered. It's what keeps us looking up at the stars and wondering what's out there.
Yeah, it really is. And War of the Worlds doesn't shy away from showing how unprepared we might be for those unknowns. The societal collapse in this film is almost as scary as the aliens themselves.
Oh, I know. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. You see people at their best and worst. You see acts of incredible courage and then moments of just pure desperation. It really makes you wonder, how would we as a society handle something like this?
And what's fascinating is that Spielberg doesn't give us easy answers. He gives us a real cross-section of humanity, from the people who just succumb to fear and panic, to those who band together to survive, to those who, like Ray, find this incredible determination to protect the people they love.
It's that human element that makes War of the Worlds more than just an action movie. It's a story about resilience and the bonds of family and about the spirit of humanity, even when all the odds are stacked against us.
Yeah, and it's really through Ray's journey that we see these themes come alive. He starts as this ordinary, kind of flawed guy, divorced, struggling to connect with his kids. But the invasion forces him to confront his own vulnerabilities and become this protector, this leader, the father figure that he never thought he could be.
There's this one scene that always gets me. It's when Ray and his kids are in that basement, hiding from the tripods. It's so quiet and claustrophobic, you could just feel the weight of everything pressing down on them. But there's also this flicker of hope in Ray's eyes, this determination to do whatever it takes to keep his kids safe.
Yeah, that scene is so powerful. It really captures that duality of what it means to be human, that vulnerability and that resilience. We are fragile. We can be broken by fear and despair, but we also have this amazing inner strength and this will to survive that can appear even in the darkest times.
And it's not just about physical survival. It's about holding on to some of our humanity, our values, our sense of hope in a world that's completely been turned upside down.
Exactly. I mean, War of the Worlds is asking these really profound questions about what it means to be human, about what defines our civilization, and what really matters when everything is stripped away. It forces us to confront our own mortality and our place in this massive universe.
It's a lot to think about. That's what makes it so interesting. It doesn't have all the answers, but it starts a conversation, a debate about where we fit in and what we're capable of.
And those conversations, those debates, they're crucial, especially in science fiction, which so often uses these fantasy scenarios to explore real human concerns. It lets us think about these big ideas and challenge our assumptions and imagine all these different possibilities for the future.
So after going deep into these themes of fear and vulnerability and resilience, where does the film leave us? With hope? Or are we left with this fear of the unknown?
Well, I think a bit of both. The ending, with that unexpected twist, reminds us that we're not invincible, that things beyond our control can just disrupt everything. But it also hints at the power of life itself and its ability to adapt and to evolve and maybe even surprise us in ways we can't imagine.
That's a great point. It's a very thought-provoking end to a film that at first glance looks like it's just about an alien invasion. But when you dig deeper, it's really about the human condition. So for our listener, who we know loves a good sci-fi debate, what would be your final question for them? Something to think about after watching War of the Worlds.
Oh, that's a good question. It really makes you think. It goes back to that idea of the unknown. I mean, War of the Worlds shows us one way things could happen, one terrifying glimpse into what an alien encounter could be like. But the universe is so vast, the possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that makes me wonder, if we do ever encounter some kind of intelligent life from another planet, will it be anything like what we see in the movies? Or will it be something so strange, so beyond anything we understand, that it changes everything we thought we knew about life, the universe, and everything?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to look at the unknown and see our own fears and expectations, like alien invasions or maybe friendly encounters. But what if the reality is so much more complicated, something that we just don't understand right now? Like our ideas about physics or biology or even consciousness itself just don't apply.
That's what's so cool about science fiction. It lets us explore those possibilities and use our imaginations. It lets us face the hugeness of the universe.
Exactly. It keeps us humble. War of the Worlds reminds us that even with all our fancy technology, we're still just a young species on a little planet.
Right, and the universe is this vast, unexplored
And
place.
that's a big lesson from this film, perspective. We're part of something much bigger, a universe with possibilities that we're just starting to figure out.
I like that. War of the Worlds is one of those films that you just keep thinking about after it's over. It makes you think and wonder about the universe. So to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never lose that sense of wonder. Who knows what's waiting out there for us to discover?
You got it. And maybe someday we'll find out that aliens are really as dramatic as Hollywood makes them out to be.